Hi, my name is Justin K. Miller, and the last 30 days of helium hotspot mining have been very good to me. I have made in that last 30 days more HNT than any other miner within this metro area, at least any that I'm aware of. And please go ahead, check your map of Denver, and if you do know another miner that is making more than me, let me know. Nothing close to Denver, I will tell you that I'm aware of. And that's a hard thing to do. Now, I started off using an 8 dBi antenna. I switched to a 9 dBi directional antenna. So far, it's worked out very well. I'm sticking to that for a while. I honestly think an 8 dBi omnidirectional antenna is just fine. And all of that being said, that antenna is in my attic. Now, I have some new construction here, so we're dealing with, as an attic goes or as a roof goes, besides standard shingles, 3/8 inch plywood, and spray foam insulation. So in terms of that attic, reducing the gain coming out of the antenna, I don't worry about it that much. I think it's pretty good. And we'll talk about this a little more in the future, but yeah. That's my current setup here. Now, beyond that, H&T is doing great. When I started a month ago, we were talking about it was worth $19 per one H&T. Just last week, it jumped up to $30. Today, it's at $39. Crazy. But that being said, while H&T is going up, the rewards are going down. Now, my area, I was at 100% in terms of a transmit scale just last week. This week, well, things seem to have gotten oversaturated. More miners in the area, people building things up. All of a sudden, this entire area went down to 98%. My house, because I am close to another helium miner just up the street, went down to 45%. Now, that's not going to necessarily affect my rewards, but if that's happening for everybody, that's lowering the transmit scale of all of the beacons I witness, all of them that witness me, and in turn, we all start going down in profits. So that's another thing to think about. It's the ebb and flow of helium mining. Not necessarily a bad thing, just the way things are. So that being said, if you're making money with your helium miner, are you going to double down? Or are you going to say, I like it the way things are? Quite honestly, I think most of us say, how do we make more money? Because, I mean, that's what I say. I want to make more money with helium mining. I ended up adding 3 more hotspots. Now, those hotspots only make somewhere between, let's say, 0.3 to 0.7 HNT a day, while my house makes over 1.1 HNT a day. But again, you can't always choose your locations. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. So that being said, I am planning on doubling down and trying to make this hobby into a business. Now, for many of you, I just want to get this out of the way. I'm not offering you financial advice. I'm not offering you legal advice. I'm just saying that it's nice to be able to have your own business, to be independently wealthy, as it were, to have passive income coming in. And at the end of the day, that's what this People's Network Helium offers us. So why not take advantage of it? Now, the first thing I'd recommend you do if you are interested in taking advantage of it is, as a business, opening up a LLC, a limited liability company. If you just go to the website of your state, so the Secretary of State to be specific, you can look up LLC and it'll probably walk you through a process of how to sign up and register and get your LLC going. Probably costs you $50 to $100 a year, and it just helps in terms of liability. Because what's your next step? I think your next step is figuring out how to get more hotspots and get them into other people's houses. And if that's your next step, you want to make sure that you're not liable for any damages or problems or any other issues that occur. So what I was trying to get at with the other stuff, though, is you're going to want to have to figure out how to put these helium hotspots in other people's houses. And that's a tough thing. People are asking me, how do you go about it? Do you have any sort of documentation? Great questions. Should I? I haven't gotten to this point yet. I am working on it right now, and I'm working on it with you guys. So one of the first things for me that I was thinking about, which, yes, documentation was one, an agreement between people, was how am I going to get them into people's houses? Now, as I mentioned before, I live in an area with new construction. Most of these houses have been built in the last 15 years. And I am relying on that fact in terms of where I want to put hotspots, that those houses also have been built in the last 10, 15 years. So that being said, I feel like the attic is the best place for them. Now, yes, outside is the best place, right? Outside, you're going to get the longest distances. The most amount of gain will go out and get through other people's roofs and sides of their houses to those hot spots. But let's look at the negatives there. Who is going to want to let you mount an antenna on their roof? I mean, they don't necessarily see the benefit of what you're doing. They don't care. They care more about their house than they do about what you're trying to achieve. So that being said, in my mind, the attic is the best place to go. It's the highest point on a house. It will have most likely power or a place to directly plug in. Between the attic and the ceilings of the house, you are bound to get a signal for Wi-Fi. So in terms of setting up, it's an easy way to go. So that being said, I designed my own system to put in a house using rack helium hotspots. I designed a system whereby it could be mounted on a tripod. Now that tripod will allow me to raise up that hotspot, let's say, up to 8 feet in the air, and as well add a slot for an 8 dBi antenna. Just because, and hear me out here, some people were saying, well, a Raspberry Pi, or the main system that powers your helium hotspot, can run up to 85 degrees Celsius without having any issues. Okay, sure, but let's think about this for a second. Your attic is, during the summer, let's say up to 65 degrees Celsius, which the processor is going to run warmer, so let's say that brings it up to 85. You don't necessarily want it to be 85. I mean, sure, it can run, but it's going to lower the lifespan of the whole system. And if you can cool it down, you should cool it down. So because of all of that, I also added a cooling fan. So the fan hits the processor directly. It's going to run all the time. It's using the USB ports that are on the rack miner directly to power it, and it works pretty well. So this is the system that I intend to go to someone's house with a ladder, go in, first connect it to their network, put a static IP address on it, change the port to 44158 TCP for information to flow through so it's not relayed, and then go up into their attic, plug it in with an extension cord, also add, and don't forget this, you want a smart plug. There may be cases where for whatever reason you need to do a hard reset on your helium miner, and you're not going to be able to do it. You're not be able to go there and go into their attic whenever you want, so you want to be able to do it remotely, which is why you're going to want a smart plug in order to be able to do a hard reset whenever it's necessary. So that is the system that I'm designing to be able to put into people's houses. I'm hoping to start doing this by next week. Now, the second part is how much to offer people in order to do this. Personally, I've heard people offering somewhere between $50 to $100. I'm not in any disagreement of that, because if you can average, well, if you can assume on average that a house is going to make you say make you 0.5 HNT a day. So let's say 15 HNT a month, and multiply that by, I don't even want to say $40 at this time. Let's just say 30. That's pretty good money. I would still pay somebody $100 in order for me to make that much money on HNT. So something to consider there. I am going to offer people, say, $65 at least, because that's what paying for their internet would generally cost. I don't know what it is for you where you are. We use CenturyLink out here. CenturyLink is $65 a month. If you do a lower level Xfinity with unlimited internet, meaning no data limits, then it's a little more than that, which is why I don't use Xfinity, but keep that in mind. So I would say starting somewhere between $50 to $100 makes a lot of sense. Okay, hey, I just want to say, by the way, this design that I created, I 3D print these. I purposely printed them in PETG, in order to make sure they could withstand the heats in an attic. If anybody is interested, I'm working on two versions. I have a version that is for a rack 8 dBi antenna, as well as hooking up to a standard tripod for lights. I can also modify this to be just a standard tripod in general. For those who are interested, please let me know in the comments below. As well, I'm also making a version that will only be for cooling the rack miner itself, because I know many of you're looking to put these in outdoor enclosures, and having a direct mount like this in your outdoor enclosure makes a lot of sense. So if you're interested in this, please let me know in the comments below. I will make it available on Etsy very shortly, and I will provide the link in the description. But I hope this has been good for all of you. I hope this is interesting, and I hope you're thinking about right now, how can I make it as easy as possible to put a helium hotspot in someone else's house? Now, again, am I going to have written agreements between people? Still working on that part. If you have your own that you've come up with, I would love to see them. Again, please feel free to share in the comments, and also like and subscribe. All right, this is Justin K. Miller signing off.